Three queens.
He's dropped a bit.
He draws two cards and bets on two pair. Who does he think he's kidding?
No one likes losing.
You in or out, Henry?
Phone. For you. It's one of your drivers.
They're like sodding bloodhounds, aren't they?
Now then.
That is correct, Mr. Trudeau. Security guards have been posted on the site. From now on, loading of aggregate will take place under the control of a member of my department. There will be continuous inspection, Mr. Trudeau. Continuous inspection.
Listen, chum. There are 17 subcontractors working that site. Old George Probin had the list all approved. Now, if you've got any complaint,
Complaint?
just check them.
I certainly have got a complaint. The assistant surveyor's report shows a very large discrepancy between the yardage shown on the weighbridge tickets and the actual amount of aggregate removed, calculated on an accurate quantity survey. In other words,
someone's been bunging your weighbridge clerk to give false tallies.
Before I went into local government, Mr. Trudeau, I was quantity surveyor to one of the largest construction firms in the country. I know all the tricks. Trucks are coming onto that site with part loads obtained from some other source. Then they're topping up their loads on the municipal car park site, thus getting paid twice for the one job.
All right, Mr. Potter. Time is money in this game, as you well know. This inspection lark's just going to slow the job down. Nobody wants that. You just leave it to me. I'll get the fellas back in line. You call off the bloodhounds.
No, Mr. Trudeau. Definitely not. I shall be submitting a report to the City Accounts Department for investigation. Until this matter has been satisfactorily cleared up, the present arrangements will continue in force.
You trying to put the arm on me by any chance? Give me a hard time and then put the squeeze on. Because if you were,
I warn you, Trudeau. Whatever may have been sanctioned in the past by my predecessor will no longer be tolerated. My advice to you is to see that the work is carried out efficiently and honestly. Any departure from the terms of your contract will involve you in the heaviest penalties. Kindly remember that.
Well, we'll have to see about that, won't we?
I understand you have a contract with Brax Chemicals to dispose of their toxic waste.
What about it?
Simply that Brax might reconsider their contract with you, where you confirmed to be blacklisted by my department.
We must do something about this office.
Why? What's wrong with it?
A public company should present a credible appearance. Adequate premises are a basic requirement of efficient administration.
I haven't gone public yet. I'm sorry, Annie. I'm a one-man band.
No, Tom. That's where you're wrong. You're in the public eye, whether you like it or not. The deal with the Germans is going through because they were impressed by your ability to show that the local authority, and the county too for that matter, actively approve and support your initiative.
Thanks to you, Annie.
To a limited extent. But that's only half the problem solved. As soon as contracts are signed, you're going to assume financial obligations which you're just not organised to handle as a one-man band, as you call it.
I'll buy Jamal a mini computer and we can teach Molly how to use a word processor.
You can't program a microchip to raise 15 or 20 million pounds, Tom. You'd better face up to it. You just can't go on relying on your talent for wheeling and dealing. You're going to have to let the public in. You're going to have to raise capital by selling shares in your companies. You're going to have to reorganise capital structure. You're going to have to consolidate your assets, rationalise your acquisitions.
You are out of your bloody minds. I've got the top brass coming over from Dusseldorf. What do you think all this is about?
We've got no choice, Henry. They put inspectors on the excavation where we pick up the aggregate. My fellas can't get on the site.
You'll have to tip it without the aggregate then.
Talk sense, Henry. That tips right up against the motorway. The acetal's going to stick out like a sore thumb unless we mix it with aggregate. We'd be spotted straight away.
It's the aggregate that takes the toxic down the side of the tip. Tip toxic on its own, it just lies there. Stands to reason. Spots your stuff, that toxic.
So, What do you want me to do about it? Flush it down the toilet?
Look, all we're saying is we leave it out for a few days just so we can get something else organised.
No way. Look, you've just got to find a tip that's got a licence for poisonous materials.
Henry, that'd mean carting the stuff up to Cumberland. You know what that'd cost. Let alone you got your toxic tip charges. There'd be nothing in it for any of us.
Not my problem. I'm sorry about that. But I've got problems enough with the crowds coming over. And you better believe me, things run smoothly while those boys are here. Smoothly.
There's only one thing for it. We're going to have to dump it neat without the aggregate like it says.
It's too risky. We'll have to run it up to Cumberland till we can sort something out.
There's another site, Ken.
Where?
Where we tip the clean stuff out the car park.
You've got to be joking. It's an industrial development site. You can't tip poison in it.
You're the managing director.
Heard you shot your old lady. You shot her down to the ground.
All right, get them off the motorway. They'll be waiting up the next exit to see you off.
Well, that's put the mockers on Cumberland.
All right, Dennis, we'll tip it where you said. We'll tip it at night, and then first thing we run clean stuff down from the car park excavation and dump clean aggregates on top of it. After all, when they put up the new factory, it'll all be covered out with concrete anyway, won't it?
Hi, Billy! All the way over there! Looks all right. We'll have to wait until the morning. The pond of that stuff. I'm going for a drink. Hey, coming, Ken? Come on, we haven't got all day.
Morning, Tom.
Ken. Getting a bit behind, Ken, aren't you?
We're having a bit of trouble with Potter, the new borough engineer took over from old George. He's put inspectors on the site and it slows the job down. Don't worry, Tom, I'll sort him out.
I suppose you couldn't do something about the appearance of this site, Mr. Torode. At least at this part of the site, it does look disgraceful.
Sorry?
Mr. Torode, I presume you know that the chairman and managing director of Brass are coming over from Dusseldorf. You must do something about the appearance of this site.
Come on, Annie, we can't waste time on things like that now. See what you can do to speed things up, will you?
I'll talk to Potter.
Now, by an oversight, we have outstanding, or overdue, I should say, the annual general meeting of Evercrest Properties Limited. To regularise the position, we should now proceed to hold the AGM. Molly?
AGM of who, did you say?
Evercrest Properties, Mr. Craig. Molly, AGM of Evercrest, please.
I'm busy.
Open the door.
Here's the agenda. First item, minutes of last meeting.
Approved.
Kindly sign, Mr. Craig. Resolution to adopt the accounts. I move. Molly?
I'm making inquiries regarding Mr. Kenneth Torode.
Saw your picture in the Gazette.
Chamber of Commerce do.
You put on weight.
Have I? I don't think so. You have.
French food. Couldn't resist it.
Been off on holiday again.
Why not? Nothing to keep us here. Ken's been doing all right, I must say.
So I've been hearing. Where is Ken, by the way?
He's on some late job, so he says. Been a couple of 3 weeks since we came off the holiday.
You enjoyed yourself anyway, I can see that.
Oh, yes, I did. At least George and Ken did. I got myself lumbered with Agnes.
Agnes?
George's wife that came on holiday with us. George works for the council. Done Ken a few favours, you know.
This George. Not George Potter, is it?
Potter?
New borough engineer.
No, it's not Potter, it's, Oh, I got it, Dewar.
You sure about that?
Of course I'm sure. I spent 2 weeks with him, didn't I?
George Dewar works for the county council. Waste disposal officer. Well, never mind.
Has he been up to something?
Who, Ken?
He's going around with some very dodgy people.
It's not exactly a white-collar job, is it?
He is filthy, but I didn't mean that. He's never here. I mean, I just don't know what's going on.
There's been a complaint about some fiddling on the car park job. I'm not saying they can pin anything on Ken. It's probably down to one of these cowboys he's got in on subcontract. Now, you tell Ken to come down the office and have a chat with me. And don't worry, we'll straighten things out. All right?
It's all right, Tom. Don't you want to stay for a coffee or anything?
These Dewars, what sort of people are they?
Well, you wouldn't exactly pick him as fun couple of the year.
Ta-da.
What's your traps chinking? Oh, I'll get them. Can we have the same here, love? And...
Just a lager.
And a lager. What's this about your tippers being stopped on the motorway?
What about it?
My department receives police reports affecting waste disposal. I'm afraid you're in for a fine.
So I'll pay it. Bother you, does it, George?
I have to enter it as an infraction against your firm in my records.
I'm sorry, George. I've had a lot on my back lately. It was just technically a bit of a leak from one of the tippers.
Bloody hell, it's coming through.
This is old stuff. This is from weeks back.
It's coming through all over.
Hello, Tom. I've had this bloke Potter onto me, something about discrepancies at the weighbridge.
Nothing to do with me.
I don't care who's been doing the fiddling. It's down to you as main contractor. If you don't want trouble, you'll get along to Potter and offer to make good whatever these cowboys of yours are creamed off.
Come on, Tom, without they fiddle a bit, they can't make a living out of it. You know that.
I don't know anything about it. It's not my problem. You better face it. You're going to have to stick your hands in your pockets and make good those other payments. You'll be off this job altogether. Blacklisted. That fella means business. It's down to you, Ken. Straighten it out. And get this site filled and levelled by the contract date. You'll be into penalties with me and all.
Thank Christ, I thought he'd tumbled. I thought he'd spotted the toxic. We're going to have to leave it out, you know.
Bollocks.
Come on, Ken. We've got to find another site.
No way. We dump clean aggregates on the surface to cover that seepage. Then we borrow a grader off Timmy and see if we can't level it off after.
Are you one of Mr. Trout's drivers?
Don't know about driver, mate. I'm his partner.
Work suspended on this site, pending the settlement of disputed payment with your firm.
Hang on a minute, we've got a site to fill and level.
Then I suggest you seek rubble and hardcore elsewhere. This site is closed till further notice.
Brian Dragnell. I represent the parents.
Anything he needs. You'll see he gets whatever he needs, won't you? If it's a matter of plastic surgery...
If you could ask your legal advisor to get in touch with me.
If that last lot doesn't see through, we're laughing. What did he say then? You brief?
Cough up.
How much?
A bomb.
What are you going to tell him then?
What do you think? Illegal dumping?
How come it's down to you?
He knows the score, that little sod. It's pay up or they throw the Act of Parliament at us.
That's nothing.
Here's your load, Dennis. He gets us prosecuted. They'll really take us to the cleaners over the kid. Then there's the deal with Henry. What's that going to look like? What's that bastard up at the town hall over the Weybridge fiddle? Potter?
Oh, God. Here he is. Mr. Waste Disposal himself.
Be fair, George. I've had that poor kid on my mind, haven't I? Then I've been worried about what to do to get the filthy muck off the site.
Should have reported it at once, Ken. I only heard about it through the Environmental Health Department at the town hall. They had a report from the MOH at the hospital. But imagine how I'd have looked if my chief executive had heard about it before I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, George.
What's the extent of the pollution?
Just the one spot. This is illegal dumping, isn't it? Someone running a tipper in here at night, most likely. Jesus, if I didn't have enough trouble.
What's your night security man got to say?
Well, what do you think? I mean, he swears blind nothing's been in or out. Now, look, George, putting a drag line in to clear this stuff out. Just give me a couple of days, and I'll have this site so you can eat your breakfast off it.
Sorry, Ken, this is out of my hands. My technical inspector's going to have to come down and establish the nature and extent of the pollution. Until he puts in his report, this site must be closed down and nothing allowed in or out of it.
You can't do that to me, George. I've got a deadline to meet. I've got penalties if I don't get this filled and levelled by my contract date. Be reasonable. I'll get the toxic shifted. Then you can send your bloke down if you've got to, but for God's sake, don't hold up the work.
I'm sorry, Ken, I know it's not your fault. It's bloody hard luck, but it's more than my job's worth to turn a blind eye to this.
Get the nightman out of the way.
You what?
Bung him what he wants and tell him to bugger off out of it.
Where to?
How the hell do I know? Mallorca, Costa Brava, bloody North Wales.
He's not dropping us in it, is he?
You're not dragging me into it. You try bringing my name into it.
Why don't you listen to what I'm saying, Henry? You've been dealing with the waste disposal people for years. All you've got to do is drop the word to George and...
I thought he was a friend of yours. I thought you got him eating out of the palm of your hand.
He's done me some favours. But this is different. Someone's got to lean on him. And hard. I take it you don't want trouble. And nor does Bracts.
Bracts? They found out what you've been up to, you won't know what's it you. They don't mess around, Bracts don't. We're not your corner chemist shop, you know. Bracts got the German government behind them.
All right. But you had a fair few quid out of this, Henry. And I'm looking to you for some help.
As far as I'm concerned, you can bloody well go on looking. For one thing, I've had nothing back for the last month. I'm not a complete bloody fool, you know. Our paperwork concerning the disposal of toxic materials in apple pie order. 100% fireproof. I've got warranties over your signature stating that notifications have been made and all regulations carried out according to the requirements of the law. Once that pile of shit's in your lorry, it's up to you to dump it at the right time, at the right place, with the right precautions. To wit, up in bloody Cumberland.
But it didn't go up to Cumberland, did it?
As far as I'm concerned, it did.
No, Henry. No. You went down the tip on Tom Craig's site. You know, where they're going to put up your new factory.
Why do I need an office when I can do business in a place like this?
Shall we get on with it then?
Yes, let's proceed to the signing of the contract.
Yeah, now we've got 'em here. Let's tie 'em up with red tape.
Right. Lord Mayor, Herr Muller, if you take your places for the signing. Ladies and gentlemen, gather round, please. Oh, just here. Schmidt? Oh, your lieutenant, sorry.
They got their own airliner. One of your company jets, a bloody French Boeing or something. Molly! We've got the contract signed anyway. You and Mrs. Kemp are going to have to get moving. Yeah, Molly.
Sooner have a pina colada.
Right. Here we go then.
Well, it seems it's mostly acid tars down there, and they can be neutralised. Limestone will do the trick for you.
You've no idea where it could have come from?
Well, it certainly didn't come from us. I mean, all our toxic waste goes up to a licensed dump in Cumberland, as per contract with Kenya. That's right, Ken, eh?
That's right, Henry. This is some small firm who aren't asking too many questions about where the stuff's going. Getting rid of toxic can be a real headache. There aren't that many licensed tips, and, well, a lot of firms won't pay what you've got to charge.
From your experience, Mr. Flower, there's no technical reason why this stuff shouldn't be removed and the site made safe.
Ah, acid tars, I said. Anything else? Toxic metal? Cyanide, for example? Well, that could be another story. I mean, you might have an entire bloody chemist shop down there. So don't let our friends from waste disposal start drilling down for core samples. Let them do that, and you can kiss this site goodbye for the rest of eternity. So put the Berlin Wall round it.
Mr. Flower, I should tell you that I chair the committee in charge of the Environmental Health Department on the council.
Well, if you want any advice on cleaning up this site, you're talking to the right chap.
Thanks very much, Mr. Flower. We'll be in touch.
Not at all. I'm glad to be of help.
Wait in the car, would you, Ken?
There's no question of it being hushed up, you know. My environmental health officers already have a full report on the case of the injured child.
I'll make sure Tarot takes care of that.
It's not that simple. The council's responsible for seeing that the procedures laid down for the protection of the public are properly observed. The waste disposal officers and the officers of my department have got to be allowed to do their duty. And that means a proper inquiry, an inspection of the site to determine the nature and extent of the pollution, a technical report from my authority and from the
Why do you think I got you down here? Why do you think Flower came to me instead of going to his management? Because he knows and I know and you know. But if it gets out before we have it dealt with, we can kiss Brax goodbye.
I fully appreciate that, Tom. Nevertheless...
And if we kiss goodbye to Brax, we kiss goodbye to Craig City Partnerships. Everything I got I put into that deal, as you know full well.
I told you a long time ago, Tom, that if ever the public interest and the interest of your firm came into conflict, I would have to put the public interest first.
That's right, Annie. That's right. Do you know what your job is, don't you? Your job is to make damn sure there is no conflict. For the benefit of all concerned. You came to me, I take it, because you reckoned it would be in my interest to make sure this thing didn't blow up into a public scandal.
Right.
I can understand that. Not sure why you're so keen to keep it quiet.
Obvious, isn't it? If that site's sold, the firm's big expansion plans go down the drain, and that's not too good for my prospects, is it?
That's right, Mr. Flower. I'd keep my career prospects to the very forefront of my mind if I were you.
No sweat, old boy. I know which side my bread's buttered. So do you, I think.
Was the acid tars which caused the burns to the schoolboy. Neutralisation with alkalines is a possible solution to this problem, though that can prove an expensive business. However, it's very likely that inorganic poisons are also present, and that's a different matter altogether. That's something which must be verified.
How do you suggest that should be done?
We shall take core samples and analyse them.
And if it appears that these poisons are present?
If chemical or metalliferous poisons are discovered in any significant quantity, the site will have to be declared a health hazard and sealed off. There'll be no question of the proposed development going ahead.
That's not a question which we have to consider at the moment. Mr. Corgan, have you anything you'd like to put to Mr. Dewar?
No, Mrs. Kemp. I am concerned as Environmental Health Officer, but this is a county matter. And I'm sure Mr. Dewar can keep us informed.
Yes, indeed. Will you do that, Mr. Dewar?
Yes, of course, Mrs. Kemp.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Just one moment, if you don't mind. Would you take a look at these, Mr. Dewar? They're copies of various notifications which BRAC send you in connection with the disposal of their toxic waste, are they not?
Yes, sir.
Under contracts which they have with Mr. Turode.
Yes. I don't follow.
And these are the documents you've had from Turode, which show that his firm has been dumping aggregate on the site with which we've been concerned today.
That's correct. I don't see any connection.
Here you have a firm which is disposing of toxic waste. The same firm is licensed to dump aggregate on the very site on which the toxic's been dumped.
Thank you, Mr. Dewar. I don't quite see what you hope to achieve by that, Tom.
I didn't know what to do. Ken said not to phone you, but I did anyway.
And what's all this then? Come on, Jean, what's it all about?
We've had the police out here.
You had what?
We've had the police out here.
Where's Ken?
He's with the coppers, isn't he?
Well, they haven't arrested him, have they?
He went voluntary. Assist them with their inquiries. We all know what that means.
Better have a drink. Both of us.
What's he done, Tom? Tom, what's he been up to?
Better ask him, hadn't you?
I don't think we need to worry too much, Tom.
It's that bloody Dewar. He's up to his neck. He didn't know he's trying to
Shut
drop
up,
me in.
Ken. It's all right, Tom. They've no real case. As long as everybody keeps their heads, I can't even see them bringing charges.
This holiday you went on with Dewar. Who paid for it?
What do you think?
Have you gone out of your bloody mind?
I'm taking steps to establish where this toxic waste is coming from. The police are also conducting inquiries. I had to warn you that if it's established it came from these premises, then your firm could be technically guilty of committing an offence. Mr. Flower, a great deal of time will be saved if you're frank and open with me. Do you have any reason to suppose that Turode has not taken your waste to the licence tip, as he was obliged to do?
Go on. Get out. Piss off. And don't you come round here wasting my time like this anymore, or I'll see that your life's not worth living. Do you get me?
Yes, Mr. Flower?
Oh, will you get me Craig City Partnerships, please? And I want to speak to Tom Craig.
The name of the site Spooks Hole. It's just up. Ken, this is Professor Kiddington. Professor, Mr. Turode is the contractor who's been responsible for filling the site with rubble. He came to me as soon as he suspected there'd been illegal dumping of toxic waste. Ken, I'd like you to take the Professor, show him around the site, indicate where you think would be the best places for him to put his markers for taking core samples, OK?
Right, this way.
The waste disposal officer laid certain information before my officers, on which there seems adequate grounds to pursue further inquiries.
Those inquiries haven't produced any positive evidence.
Well, there's the unexplained disappearance of the night watchman.
Unexplained?
Well, he seems to have taken a very convenient holiday.
So his disappearance is explained.
My officers report that Mr. Turode was very evasive when questioned.
Oh, really?
As I said, Mrs. Taylor, no charge has been preferred on the evidence which has so far emerged at this moment in time.
In other words, Mr. Dewar seems to have acted somewhat precipitously.
I suppose that might be said to have emerged as a result of our inquiries, yes.
Our Environmental Health Department is involved in an investigation, along with Mr. Dewar's Department of County. I'll be awfully grateful if you'd leave the matter with us.
Well, of course, Mr. Taylor. I'll certainly close the case if that is your recommendation.
Thank you so much.
No, Mr. Craig.
I'll see you outside, Ken.
How do you propose dealing with this problem, Annie?
This is a county matter, and we're very much in the hands of Mr. Dewar. Mr. Dewar is adamant that there are certain poisonous substances present on the site which cannot be neutralised. He's quite determined to have the site declared a health hazard and closed off.
Tom? I've had samples taken from the site by a professor from London. He's prepared to state that the pollution is minimal and controllable, apart from the acid tars, which I'm fully prepared to neutralise at my own expense. The professor will recommend measures which will render the site perfectly safe for future development.
This is the crucial question. I'm going to call an ad hoc committee together. Settle it one way or the other. The committee will be made up of county and city councillors, and it will hear evidence from the officers concerned, and of course, Tom's professor.
Professor Kiddington.
You'll want to be represented by counsel, Tom?
Oh, for God's sake, no, don't let the bloody lawyers in. I just want to be allowed to ask Dewar a few questions myself.
I think I can get agreement on that. Anything else?
I take it the Labour opposition will be represented.
Yeah, facing the possible loss of several thousand jobs. Yes, I'll invite Roy go along, of course.
May I make a suggestion? That Annie chairs the committee as councillor responsible for environmental health.
I'm not sure.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. I'm not sure county would agree to that.
What I think we must get clear is why Mr. Dewar is not prepared to accept Professor Kiddington's proposal to cap the site with concrete after the acid tars have been neutralised.
Because the concentration of metalliferous poisons is too high for capping to be effective.
The professor has told us he took 150 samples. How many did you take?
Enough to satisfy myself.
How many?
25. The toxic waste was deposited in patches, quite easily identifiable from the seepage.
Ah. You only took samples where you thought you could spot these poisons?
Of course, I was trying to establish its presence on the site.
With a view to the prosecution of those responsible?
Not only that.
Not only that, but nevertheless your samples do not give a true picture of the pollution of the site as a whole, whereas the professors do. Now, Mr. Dewar, it's been established that you knew that Turode and his partner had contracts to dispose of toxic waste, as well as contracts to dispose of harmless building rubble, didn't you?
There was no reason why I should have made any connection between the two contracts before the discovery of toxic material. As soon as that became known to me...
As soon as that became known to you, you laid information before the police, as a result of which Mr. Turode was taken down to the police station and subjected to several hours of interrogation. I've been informed that the police have failed to produce any evidence against Mr. Turode whatsoever. You and Turode were friends, weren't you?
I don't want to stop Mr. Craig, but I'm not sure what's being implied by his last question.
I came to this meeting to report my findings of the nature and extent of pollution on an industrial site. I'm not going to allow Mr. Craig or anybody else to turn it into an attack on my personal integrity.
Please sit down, Mr. Dewar. I'm sure Mr. Craig means to imply nothing to your discredit.
Do sit down. I haven't much more. Of course, when something like this happens, it's natural to get upset. Nobody can blame you for that. But as we've just seen, you're a bit inclined to fly off the handle, aren't you?
I don't know what you mean.
You know, of course, that Professor Kiddington is a national expert on chemical pollution.
Yes, but...
In fact, you studied under him at one time.
That's got nothing to do with it.
Under normal circumstances, you'd respect his opinion.
I've already said that I disagree with the professor as to the extent of the present pollution.
Because the circumstances, as far as you're concerned, are not normal. Professor Kiddington is an independent, unprejudiced and objective expert witness. He is not in the same position as Mr. Dewar, who perhaps feels he's been less than vigilant in carrying out his duties. Professor Kiddington has not had a relationship of a personal nature with the man Tirode. Professor Kiddington, moreover...
I know what's been deposited on that site. Poisons. And I know why this meeting's been called. I know what's going on. I know in whose interest it lies to carry on with this development, regardless of the consequences. But I'm warning you, all of you.
Thank you, Mr. Dewar. Thank you, Mr. Craig.
I don't know whether any of our friends from County Hall would like to call any further experts.
Pollution, Mr. Tirode. I don't know anything about pollution. This is a matter of obtaining payments from the council on false weighbridge certificates. The charge will be explained to you at the station, and you'll be properly cautioned.